Imagine this. A quiet house, far away from anyone who could help, a strange visitor showing up unexpectedly at night, and the unsettling feeling that someone or something is lurking just out of sight. The lights flicker, the shadows shift, and suddenly, things around you are moving on their own. There's no way to explain it, no one to call, and the only clues left behind are bizarre, creepy objects hidden inside a lifeless mannequin. But here's the catch. Something terrifying is just beginning, and you won't believe what happens next. Stay with me now. Welcome to Peak Plot Recaps, where we dive deep into the heart of your favorite movies and break down their most thrilling moments. Today, I'm going to explain a 2024 Irish horror thriller movie, Oddity, directed by Damien McCarthy. This movie packs in a chilling blend of suspense and eerie supernatural twists, with an IMDb rating of 6.7 out of 10. It tells the story of Darcy O'Dello, a blind clairvoyant trying to uncover the truth behind her twin sister's gruesome murder. Set in a remote, haunting countryside, the plot revolves around mysterious happenings inside a newly acquired country house, a strange wooden mannequin, and a deadly secret lurking just beneath the surface. So, if you're intrigued by a movie that combines the supernatural with a relentless family mystery, this one's for you. Subscribe and hit that like button and if horror is your genre. And now, spoilers ahead. The movie opens by introducing us to Dani O'Dello Timmis, a woman who's alone one night, working on renovating the house she recently moved into with her husband, Ted Timmis, a psychiatrist working at a psychiatric hospital. Right away, we get that this house isn't your average cozy home in the countryside. It's isolated, a bit too quiet, and somehow just feels off. But Dani doesn't seem to notice. She's busy fixing up the place. As she works, a visitor arrives at the house. Enter Olin Boole, a former patient of Ted's who's just been discharged from the psychiatric hospital. Now, this guy looks pretty shady. He's got a prosthetic eye and definitely isn't someone you'd want showing up unannounced at your doorstep. He tells Dani that someone has entered her house while she steps outside for a brief moment. Olin's demeanor is unsettling, but he insists that she's in danger and tries to convince her to let him in. Dani, already on edge, refuses to open the door. And honestly, who could blame her? A random guy showing up in the middle of the night, warning you about unseen intruders. No thanks. Despite Dani's refusal to let Olin in, she starts hearing strange noises coming from inside the house. Is Olin telling the truth? Is she really in danger? As Dani inches closer to the door, ready to unlock it, the scene cuts abruptly, leaving us hanging, and the next thing we know, it's been a year since that terrifying night. But something horrible happened that we're not fully told yet. Dani was brutally murdered in her own home. And the worst part? Olin Boole was convicted of the crime. Just when you think things couldn't get more disturbing, we find out that Olin himself was murdered shortly after in his psychiatric hospital room. Now we're left wondering, what exactly is going on? Is there a deeper conspiracy behind Dani's death? Fast forward to a year later, we're introduced to Darcy O'Dello, Dani's twin sister. Darcy, unlike her late sister, is a blind clairvoyant with psychometric powers. She can read objects by touching them, getting visions of their history, kind of like a paranormal detective. Darcy is still grieving Dani's death and wants answers. Darcy owns a shop in Cork called the Cabinet of Curiosities where she sells haunted and cursed items. Talk about a spooky day job. One day, she's visited by Ted, who's still shaken by his wife's murder. They discuss the past, and though Ted seems to have moved on, Darcy clearly hasn't. Ted's now dating a new woman, Yana, a pharmaceutical rep who works at the same hospital. This doesn't sit well with Darcy, who feels Ted's moved on too quickly, but we'll get to that later. Ted leaves the shop, and Darcy begins to suspect that not everything is as it seems with her sister's death. Using her psychometric abilities, she touches a prosthetic eye, a creepy keepsake from Olin, and has a series of disturbing visions, including flashes of Danny's final moments and an ominous masked figure. Then, things start getting really strange. A few days later, Darcy shows up unannounced at the same country house where Danny was killed. This is now the home Ted and Yana are living in. As if Darcy's sudden arrival isn't unsettling enough, a large crate also arrives at the house, containing a life-sized wooden mannequin. This thing is beyond creepy. It's almost like it's watching everyone in the room, and it definitely gives off a haunted vibe. Ted, however, doesn't stick around for the weirdness. He's got a night shift at the hospital, so he leaves Darcy alone in the house with Yana. From the moment Ted walks out the door, things start to spiral into chaos. First off, Yana, who's already uncomfortable with Darcy being there, tries to leave but finds that her car keys are mysteriously missing. That's never a good sign in a horror movie, right? Then, to make matters worse, Yana starts noticing that the wooden mannequin is moving positions. But Yana is stuck. Her phone breaks after she drops it from an upstairs landing, and she's left completely cut off from the outside world. Yana, in a desperate attempt to figure out what's going on, examines the wooden mannequin more closely. She finds a bunch of bizarre, creepy items hidden inside small holes in its head. Photos of Danny and Darcy, locks of hair, a tooth, and even a vial of blood. It's like something straight out of a nightmare. What's the deal with this mannequin, and why does it seem to be tied to Danny's death? As if that weren't enough to send Yana over the edge, she starts seeing Danny's ghost in the house. Danny's apparition appears, urging Yana to run. Freaked out beyond belief, Yana finally finds her car keys, conveniently placed inside the crate the mannequin came in, because of course they were, and she bolts from the house. After Yana escapes, Ted returns home to find Darcy waiting for him. Darcy confronts Ted, revealing that she knows the truth. Ted was behind Danny's murder. She tells him that she performed a psychometric reading on Olin's glass eye and discovered that Olin wasn't the one who killed Danny. Instead, it was Ted who orchestrated the whole thing. He wanted Danny out of the picture and enlisted the help of Ivan, a shady orderly at the psychiatric hospital, to carry out the murder. As Darcy recounts what she learned, we're treated to a flashback of that fateful night. Olin, who had overheard Ted and Ivan plotting the murder, went to Danny's house to try and warn her, but he was too late, and thus, Olin was wrongfully convicted of Danny's murder. Ted, of course, tries to weasel his way out of the situation. He tells Darcy that he's going to meet with the investigator who handled Danny's case and have the investigator phone Darcy to explain the evidence. But as you might have guessed, Ted's lying. Instead of calling the investigator, he heads back to the hospital and phones Darcy from there, luring her toward a trap door that he deliberately left open. As Darcy moves to answer Ted's call, she doesn't realize that the floor beneath her is missing. Sure enough, she falls straight down, injuring herself severely. Ted's plan seems to have worked, at least for now, but Darcy's not going down without a fight. While Darcy is struggling for her life, Ted calls in Ivan to finish the job. Ivan shows up at the house to find Darcy barely hanging on. And just when you think things can't get crazier, the wooden mannequin comes to life. Yes, you heard that right. The creepy mannequin that's been lurking in the background finally reveals its true nature. The mannequin stalks Ivan through the house, moving eerily, as though possessed by some unseen force. Ivan, panicking, tries to escape. He even jumps from the first floor, but injures his leg in the process. Ivan is now limping, barely able to move, and the wooden mannequin is slowly closing in on him. In a gruesome scene, the mannequin grabs Ivan by the head and crushes his skull with its wooden hands. Darcy, barely conscious, watches this unfold, knowing that her supernatural powers, combined with her sister's spirit, are able to avenge Danny's death. In her final moments, Darcy sees Danny's apparition smiling at her, signaling that justice has finally been served. With Darcy dead, the wooden mannequin collapses into a lifeless heap, as though its purpose has been fulfilled. Sometime later, Ivan, who somehow survived the attack, is committed to the psychiatric hospital, this time as a patient. Ted, ever the calculating manipulator, has arranged for Ivan to be silenced. But Ivan, beaten down and psychologically broken, knows the truth, and that makes him dangerous. Ted visits Ivan in the psychiatric hospital, and the two share a tense conversation. Ivan, desperate, asks to see a priest. He wants to confess all the terrible things he's done. But Ted warns him that if he speaks up, it'll only make things worse. Ted's reputation is at stake here, and he can't afford to let Ivan reveal the truth. Chat, what would you do if you were Ted? Would you try to silence Ivan, or would you come clean? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Ted, always one step ahead, does something truly horrifying. He releases a dangerous cannibal patient into Ivan's room. Yup, you read that right. Ted essentially feeds Ivan to a madman. The cannibal attacks Ivan and devours his leg, and it leaves Ivan with no way to survive, much less confess. Ted's dark plan has succeeded, but Ted's fate is far from sealed. After ensuring Ivan's silence, Ted returns to the country house. He's now alone. Yana has left him. When Ted arrives at the house, he finds a small package waiting for him on the doorstep. It's from Darcy's Cabinet of Curiosities shop. Inside the package, Ted finds the call bell, the same bell that Darcy had shown him earlier, claiming it was haunted by the spirit of a bellhop who kills whoever dares ring it. Ted, who still doesn't believe in the supernatural, rings the bell. First, nothing happens. Ted looks around the house, waiting for something, but all is quiet. He starts to laugh, mocking the very idea of ghosts and curses. But just as Ted lets his guard down, the camera pans behind him, and we see something he doesn't. A shadowy figure, the spirit of the bellhop, silently standing just behind him. The movie ends on this chilling note, leaving us with the haunting realization that Ted, despite all his attempts to control his fate, is about to face the ultimate consequence of his actions. This story takes twists and turns you'll never expect, with chilling surprises and creepy moments that will definitely stick with you long after the credits roll. If you think you've got it all figured out, trust me, you don't. So, if you love a good mystery with a supernatural twist, this one's for you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Let us know what you think about this movie, and see you next time.